So today what you're going to learn about is a review from a concept that we covered a little bit further back in second trimester, which is the multiplying of polynomials. And I think once you see some of these words, you're going to become familiar. And if you haven't seen these words or you're not quite familiar with them, we're going to do each example, type 1, type 2, and type 3, so that you get an idea of what to do in each situation. So to multiply polynomials, there are three types of multiplication problems. Type 1 involves multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. And for those of you who don't remember, monomial means one term, polynomial means one or more. So any type of situation where you have a monomial being multiplied by any polynomial, you can use the distributive property. And that will help you multiply those two terms, or those two scenarios. The type 2 involves multiplying a binomial by another binomial. And this uses a special property that is easy to remember. It's a special word. Maybe some of you are already saying it already. It starts with an F. O I L, the FOIL method. The hard part is remembering what FOIL stands for. Everybody remembers FOIL, but doesn't remember what it stands for. So it stands for first, outside, inside, and last. And when we do an example of that, I'll explain further what first, outside, inside, last means. The third type involves multiplying a binomial times a trinomial, or a trinomial times another trinomial. If you don't remember what binomial stands for, binomials means two terms. Trinomials means three terms. Binomial bicycle has two tires. Trinomial triangle has three sides. To multiply these, you use the process that you learned in second trimester, the box method. The box method, if you recall, works for any of these types. So if you're multiplying a monomial times a polynomial and you don't like the distributive property, you can use the box method. Same thing for binomial and binomial. If you don't like the FOIL, you can use the box method. But to multiply a binomial times a trinomial, trinomial times a trinomial, it's easiest to use the box method. So, I am going to do the first example on each type. So make sure that you are following along with me as I do these so you get the correct answer for all of them. So we're going to start with the type 1, which is distributing. Now in that first blank there, I didn't put it on my screen, but you can see there it says note, make sure to follow blank. In that blank I want you to put the law of exponents. Make sure you follow your laws of exponents. More specifically, the law of exponents that says when you have two bases being multiplied together, you need to add the exponents. That's going to be important when you use the distributive property. So, distributive property, when you have a monomial times a polynomial, you can see here we have four terms inside this parentheses, so we're going to have a monomial times a fourth polynomial, 4-term polynomial. There's no special word for that. So remember, we can use the distributive property. Don't just distribute that 3x squared into the first term. You must do it for every single term. I like to draw the arrows. You don't have to draw the arrows, but you're going to multiply. The thing to remember is you're going to multiply the coefficients first. So this first one is 3 times 7, which is 21. Now we have an x squared and we have an x to the 5th. So we're going to use that exponent rule that says when you multiply two like bases, you add their exponents. So it's 2 plus 5, which is x to the 7th power. Now this one doesn't have a y, but this one does, so you just bring that y to the 3rd power down. Second one, 3x squared times negative 4x. So you're going to start with the coefficients first. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Then we have x squared times x, which is x to the 3rd power, because this is 2 and this is 1. Now we move on to the next term. It's 3 times 3, which is positive 9. X squared, there is no other x, so I'm going to put an x squared here. This has a y though, but this one doesn't, so I bring down the y, so it's 9x squared y. Last term here is 3x squared times negative 2, which is negative 6x squared. Now just to double check, I want to make sure that there are no other like terms here, and there isn't. So there is my final answer. So what you're going to do is questions 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to stop the tape here, and you're going to do those first 5 questions, or the 2 through 5 I should say, and we're going to stop there, and you're going to get the answers after you're done to make sure that you're doing them correctly. Once you have gone over 2 through 5, you can go ahead and continue with the next, you can play the video and we can do the next set of problems. Alright, so the next set of problems is type 2, which is foiling. FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, last. So we have FOIL. First means take the first term in the first parentheses, first term in the second, and you're going to multiply them. First term in the first term in the second. So 6x times 3x makes 18x squared, because you still do the rules of exponents. That's what F stands for. O stands for outside. So you take the outermost term in that group and multiply it by the outermost term in the other group. So just think of it as being the two outside numbers. So in this case, the two outside numbers is 3x and negative 7. I'm going to multiply those two together. So 3x times negative 7 is negative 21x. Inside just makes the two that are on the outside, the other two are on the inside. So the two innermost terms, this is the I, is 4 and 6x. Positive 4 times 6x is positive 24x. And then finally last. The last term in the first parentheses times the last term in the second. And this is L. 4 times negative 7, negative 28. Now what you have to remember with foiling is that the outside and the inside are always going to combine. You can see here that these two terms are exactly the same. X, X. So my final answer is going to be 18x squared. Negative 21 plus 24 is positive 3x, and then negative 28. Final answer. So this is the FOIL method. Now I took this really slow. Some of us will be able to do the O and the I right away and combine those right away, and that's fine. So there's another problem that you have to do for the FOIL method that's right next to it. Give you some time, so you can stop the video here. We can go over the answer there just to make sure that you're doing it correctly, and then we can move on to type 3. So type 3 is the box method. The box method is creating your box. And remember, if you have a binomial times a trinomial, like this example here, you're going to want to make your box fairly large. Okay, so this is two terms. So it doesn't matter which one you put the two terms. If you want to put your two terms here and here, that's fine. If you want to put your two terms here and here, that's fine. I like to do the two terms off to the side. Doesn't matter though. So the first term is 3k, so I'm going to put my 3k here. Second term is -5. I put the -5 there. Now the next parentheses has three terms. So I'm going to put 1, 2, and then there's the 3. So I'm going to put 2k squared, 4k, and this is a -3. Put the -3 there. Now what's nice about the box method is now you just have to match up this times this will get you this in the box. This times this will match this in the box. This times this makes this in the box, so on and so forth. You get the idea. So I'm going to do the first one. 3k times 2k squared is 6k to the third power, because that's a first power and you got to use your rules of exponents. 2k squared times -5 is -10k squared. 4k times 3k is 12k squared. -5 times 4k is -20k. -3 times 3k is -9k. And then -3 times -5 is +15. You don't have to put the plus sign there. Okay, so now you write out your terms. Remember to look for like terms. See if you can combine those right away. I see that these two are alike. These two are alike. And so I'm going to combine those in my head right away. So my final answer is 6k to the third. -10 plus 12 is 2k squared. -20 plus -9 is -29k. And then this plus 15 goes at the bottom. There's my final answer. So you see you have another one, which is a trinomial times a trinomial. I want you to go ahead and do that problem, and then we will discuss that answer. After that, you will have some practice problems. You can see the first one is on that page right there, and then you have two more to do. Once you are finished with those, you will go over the answers, and then we'll get you started on your homework assignment.